Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Beckhoff Automation, I would like to welcome you to today's webinar with the title Industrial PCs and TwinCAT RAID Systems. My name is Roland van Mark. I'm the responsible product manager for industrial PC products at Beckhoff Automation in Fair, Germany. And next to me is Dr. Josef Papenfort, product manager for TwinCAT. By purpose, we have chosen a team of 2 product managers today because a RAID system usually exists out of a piece of hardware as well out of an integration into the automation system, a piece of software. And in the next 25 minutes, we would like to explain to you exactly these 2 aspects, the hardware aspect as well as the software aspect. And that's why we have a team of 2 people for today's seminar. If you have any questions during the webinar, please be so kind and use the question window on your screen. And at the end of the seminar, we will try to answer as many questions as possible. In case any question will remain open, we will follow up later on this on a case-by-case study. To give you a quick outlook what will happen, we will start with an information about different methods to back up PC systems. We have an overview about the different RAID levels. Of course, we need to take a look into different storage medias because every RAID system needs a hardware to store data. We will show you different housing concepts at Beckhoff Automation, how you can integrate these storage medias into our systems. And then we will show you how the integration into TwinCAT will take place in order to have a very simple diagnostic of the RAID system. But let's start with the first basic idea, something very simple. Different methods to secure data in a PC system. Now, all of you have explored sometimes in our life already difficulties with PC systems. So when we choose the PC for industrial automation, we have to be extremely careful. First of all, it is necessary to simply choose a robust IPC system, something which can withstand the environmental conditions and the requirements in your application. Secondly, we always recommend that you should generally back up your data. At least once in the life, basically at the beginning of the installation, data should be backed. In order to secure operating system and the functionality during the system, we usually recommend a UPS system, an uninterruptible power supply. And several customers prefer to save relevant data permanently. And then at the end of this small list, of course, there's the option to save all data permanently. Now, these 5 different topics can be addressed in different ways. So let's take a look to the first one, to choose a robust IPC system. Well, to simply make some advertising for Beckhoff, we always recommend to use a Beckhoff IPC if you need a robust one. Now, for general data backup, for example, after the first initial installation of the machine, we recommend that customers should use a backup tool to secure the basic data. In the Beckhoff world, this can be the Beckhoff service tool called BST, but there are also other backup tools available which can support you in this case. Additionally, we recommend that you should use an uninterruptible power supply system. For that, we had a webinar with the same topic just a few weeks ago, where we described different possibilities of UPS systems and how to can integrate this into your system. Well, those of you who just want to save some relevant data on a permanent modus, there's the chance to use NOFRAM modules, for example, or inside the I/O system, a special terminal with NOFRAM. So if you just want to save a few data of your system permanently, NOFRAM is a relevant method. Well, and then if you want to secure the data on your storage device permanently, now we come to the picture of RAID. So RAID is one system, one possibility to secure data out of a huge variety of different options. So although we are just talking about RAID in the next couple of minutes, please keep in mind that this does not mean that you can use a very simple cheap PC, that you should forget UPS, that you should forget data backup. No, you should do all these things, and on top of that, RAID will secure you or will help you to increase data availability in your system. RAID overall is not a miracle. It's a well-known method, and it's also a described method, and you can simply look up Wikipedia, for example, to find the description, what is RAID about and what is the meaning of RAID. And simply said, RAID is a synonym for a redundant array of independent disks. So basically, it's a method that you can protect your data of your hard disk or of a similar storage device, hard disk or flash media. And with the RAID system, you can achieve several things depending on the RAID level. So RAID overall is always an array of independent disks. And now the question is, how do we connect these disks to each other and how do we operate these disks? The different RAID levels are mentioned by different numbers. And the most common ones are RAID level 0, RAID level 1 or RAID level 5. All these numbers describe the different setup of the hard disk or flash media in your device. And they all have a different approach. Like you see on the small table here, RAID level 0, for example, do not offer redundancy. So a RAID level 0 does not back up your data. It simply increases the speed of reading and writing to your hard disk. On the other hand, RAID level 1 or RAID level 5 are both two RAID levels which already make sure that data is safely redundant on your devices. Now, let's take a specific look into the different RAID levels that we are all on the same level, what we're talking about. RAID level 1 highlighted here is the one which we prefer for industrial application. But again, first of all, take a look on the different RAID levels. Now, in RAID level 5, you require 3 or more hard disks. And normally, a RAID level 5 is used in server application. So if you talk to your IT people, how they back up data in your overall server system, they normally use RAID 5. Now, needing 3 or more hard disks requires large IPC systems because you need a lot of space to simply install the hard disks in your system. And of course, you need at least 3. Normally, people have 5 or more hard disks in one system. We believe for industrial application, a RAID level 5 requires too much space and too many hard disks, and is overperforming compared to the expectation of customers. At the end, you will see that RAID level 1 will do exactly the job which is needed. So RAID level 5 is normally not used for industrial application. On the other hand, there's RAID level 0. Now at RAID level 0, we have no redundancy at all. That means if a hard disk fails, you will lose all data on the disk. So why is RAID level 0 used at all? Well, basically, at RAID level 0, you take your data and you split the data on 2 different hard disks or flash disks. In this case, you can almost double the speed. That means you have very short read and write cycles to your device. As the RAID level 0 is not redundant at all and is increasing the read and write cycles only, we also see no relevant need in the industrial application for RAID level 0. So from a Beckhoff perspective, RAID level 1, the drive mirroring, is the most important RAID level which should be used to secure the data on your data storage media. RAID level 1 offered 100% data protection because every data is mirrored, so you have on 2 hard disks or flash disks exactly the same information. You need 2 disks only to make sure that RAID 1 is operating. And if one disk fails, you can simply remove the failed disk and you can integrate a new one and the system will rebuild automatically. That means very simply at RAID 1 all data are completely mirrored and you can guarantee that in case one storage media will fail, the other one is completely compatible to the first one. Now based on these different RAID levels, we decided that RAID level 1 is the most meaningful and more helpful to secure data in industrial application. Now, after understanding the RAID levels, it is important that you have to choose the storage media. So you need a piece of hardware to store data on the device. Usually here we can start an ongoing discussion about the differences between hard disks or flash disks. Now, both media can be used for RAID. So a RAID system do not differentiate if you come with a hard disk or with a flash disk. Both medias can be used, but still the question is what media should be used in your application. By purpose, I have chosen here a picture of an industrial PC from Beckhoff. We call this a C6930. And on the right side, on the bottom, you see there is storage possibility for 2 flash cards or 2 2.5-inch hard disks, plus a C fast card. So here you see that this is a device which can incorporate 2 hard disks or 2 solid-state disks. Now, a lot of people believe that if you use a flash media, like a solid-state disk, you do not need to take care about any other kind of data storage because the system is so reliant. Well, this is true in case you choose the right flash media. Flash media are not equal, and the price differences of flash media on the market is normally based due to very tremendous technical differences. Usually in the flash market we differentiate between so-called single-level cell flash and multi-level cell flash. And these 2 principles to store data have a significant influence to the reliability of the device. This short table here shows you experiences Beckhoff made at internal tests. And you can see that at a single-level cell disk we can read and write up to 10 megabytes per second for over 10 years on a very small device with only 32 gigabytes. Where on the right side we use the multi-level cell, we can only write 1 megabyte data on a very large device for over 10 years. So there's a tremendous quality factor between these 2 devices. Now, we highly recommend when you choose your storage system, make your decision if you want to use a hard disk, which normally has the highest capacity and lowest cost, or if you want to use a flash disk, because if you want to use a flash disk, then choose the highest available quality. And on top of that, if you want to increase the availability of your setup in your machine, install a RAID system, independent if you have a hard disk or if you have a flash media used. A hard disk itself today at Beckhoff has 320 gigabyte. It's extremely fast and it's especially proven for vibration and shock requirements according to international standards. So again, a small table to make it possible for you to differentiate the solid-state disk with a faster data rate and of course with the highest mechanical stability. On the other hand, the hard disk with the lowest price per gigabyte. And again, on top of that, make use of the RAID controller to back up your data in any case. Now, RAID controller, independent of the RAID level, can be installed in different ways. Some RAID controllers are made with a decentral plug-in card. That means you as a customer need to buy a certain card and insert this into the PC. We at Beckhoff believe that it's much more convenient if we can use an onboard RAID controller. And that's why we have chosen already many years ago to integrate the Intel onboard RAID controller into the Beckhoff devices. Now, an onboard RAID controller simplifies the system because you do not need any extra hardware. You simply need a PC system which can incorporate 2 hard disks or 2 flash disks. And that's the only requirement. A RAID controller is on board and you just need the mechanical device for the different hard disks. Now, this is a standard for Beckhoff that all new IPC generations can have the RAID controller on board. Now, if I take a look into the different devices we have here at Beckhoff, we have a huge variety of IPCs and embedded PCs which can actually be equipped with 2 storage medias. And this is on one hand our embedded product line CX2000. And like you see here on the picture on the right side, the 2 black modules which are standing out a little bit, these are the storage media housings, so this can incorporate a hard disk or a flash disk. And the controller is integrated into the CPU in the center part with a red stripe. So, controller on board and the hard disk module or the flash card module is simply being plugged in. So, the RAID controller system integrated on board into the device. If it comes to the industrial PCs and the panel PCs, the variety is much larger. And this is a very quick overview about the different systems we have in place. And I would like to show you a few pictures of the devices which already can incorporate 2 hard disks. Please again keep in mind, the RAID controller is always on board. The housing now need to fulfill the integration of the 2 hard disks. And you see different possibilities here on the screen, standalone PCs in large scale or smaller industrial PCs and even panel PCs which can incorporate 2 storage medias. I would like to take a look into 2 products in specific. One is our industrial PC called C6650. This has an ATX motherboard, so a large motherboard with a lot of flexibility, a lot of plug-in cards can be used. And on the bottom, we have integrated two hard disk frames, which allow us very easy access to 3.5-inch hard disks. So this is an extreme simple system that RAID again is on board, and the two hard disks simply mirror the data continuously to secure highest availability. If this system is too bulky and too large for you, you have the choice to also use a smaller one. And again, one example which we've used earlier today, a small PC, again on the bottom, two openings for 2.5-inch hard disks, and the Intel matrix storage and rapid storage technology is integrated. So basically, I would like to show you here, I would like to explain that the hardware is available. All the different PC systems can incorporate the storage medias. The RAID controller is integrated into the system, so it makes it extremely simple and easy to realize the highest data secureness for you. So we believe with the RAID system, the overall system performance can easily be increased, because in case a storage media will fail, the system will continue to work. So you have a permanent availability of your machine system, and you simply get a message about the failed hard disk. You can change the failed one, integrate a new one, and the system will back up automatically. We believe that it does not replace the overall backup. So please be in mind that still a new system should get a backup somewhere on your server, wherever. And of course, the operating system should be secured with the UPS. So RAID is not the only system which you need to secure data availability. And then last but not least, the RAID levels are flexible, but we believe that RAID 1, which makes the 100% mirroring of data, is the most important RAID level in the industry. Now, I believe hardware is very easy and simple to explain, and we noticed just recently that a lot of customers have also an interest to understand how this is integrated into software. So how can you analyze and how can you identify the status of your RAID system? And that's why just on the latest trade show, which took place in Nuremberg in the end of November, we had a special exhibition wall. And you see here a picture of the wall where we described the IPC diagnostic. And the RAID controller diagnostic is part of the Beckhoff IPC diagnostic. So it's very easy to identify the RAID status and the situation of the RAID system. And in order to give you some more information about that, I'd like to hand over to Dr. Josef Papenfort from the TwinCAT team, and he will now show you how the RAID controller is integrated into TwinCAT and how you can access the data.
Yeah, the RAID controller diagnostics is completely integrated in the IPC diagnostics, and we have different ways that you can use this diagnostic information. So you see on the bottom that we have different ways from the outside to get the information from the inside, so from the Windows API, from the BIOS, from the registry and other things. And RAID diagnostics is integrated in the system. So the IPC diagnostics itself is accessible from local or remote, and of course you get information about the configuration, and you can also do the configuration, and you can monitor IPC parameters, and especially of course the status of the RAID system. This can be done using a local or remote OPC UA, so this is independent of the TwinCAT system. You can also use ADS, which needs of course a TwinCAT system. You can use UPnP and a web browser to see the information, which is very easy and of course needs no TwinCAT. And you can access this via C++ or C# code. The IPC diagnostics is a general information model behind, and in this general information model, which we call internally modular device profile, we have a lot of information structures in indices and sub-indices, and for RAID we have a big list of different things you can access via index and sub-index. The information can be shown, or you can read this information in the Infosys, and there's a link to the Infosys where it's described in detail. First of all, you can of course use, and this is the easiest way to access IPC diagnostics, really open the Web Explorer, browse to the IP address and then /config, and then you see a wonderful new web display in HTML. So you see in one case, in the second case, you see the rate diagnostics, you see the status of the rate system, and you see the reason for offline. So this is a bigger view, so you see state is good, and you see the offline reason. And of course you can also access the information from the hard disk, so the smart information from the hard disk. You see different things. You can directly check all the things, and you can see if the hard disk works in a good way or not. This is the way to get the information from the Web Explorer. You can also use OPC UA, and of course also in OPC UA we have a namespace, and inside the namespace we have again index and subindex where you can access directly information from the rate controller. And last but not least, we have of course also the possibility to get the information into the PLC, and for this we have a library, and the library name is the TC2_MDP library for TwinCAT 3, and internally we have a lot of different function blocks, and to get the information from the rate system you need the function block FB_MDP_read element, and with this information you get directly inside the PLC the information which is the status of the rate system. In the information system there's also an example, and this is an example written in structured text, and you can get this information out of the information system, and you can directly use this in your application. So this is a very easy way to get the information in different ways out of the rate controller using the IPC diagnostic as an abstraction layer. If you have any questions, feel free to ask the questions. So one question is it possible to really hot plug the hard disk, the failed hard disk out of the system? And of course, yes, this is possible. So while the PC is running, while TwinCAT is running, you can plug out the failed hard disk and insert a new hard disk. So no other question. So thank you for your attention, and we will close this webinar.